Welcome back to A Smarter Way to Retire. I'm your host, Tony Leonardi, and today we've reached step 10, the final step in my retirement planning process. And this step is making adjustments and improvements. This step is critical because retirement planning isn't a set it and forget it process. Your financial plan is a living document, something that should evolve as your life changes. But before we talk about long-term adjustments, let's talk about the immediate adjustments that might be necessary based on all the analysis we've done in the previous steps. Because for many people, the first version of their retirement plan isn't quite where it needs to be. And that's okay. This step is about making sure that the plan works. We may find out after modeling that you need to be headed north to get to where you want to go, but we find out in the modeling that you're headed due east right now. It's time to make an adjustment in the direction you're headed. Once we've gone through the entire retirement planning process, analyzing your investments, defining your goals, building a financial model, and stress testing your plan, there's a good chance that some immediate adjustments need to be made to ensure the plan is on track. These adjustments might include your investment portfolio. Many people find that their current investment mix doesn't align with their retirement goals or their risk tolerance. You may need to adjust your asset allocation, rebalance your portfolio, or even shift your investment strategy to create the right balance of growth, income, and protection. I'm working with a client right now that has some very common problems with their investments. One, their current investment portfolio is well outside of their risk tolerance or their comfort zone. This is pretty common because most investors did not know how to measure how much risk they were taking in their investments. Once we quantify that risk for them using standard deviation and plot it for them on the efficient frontier, we often find a portfolio that needs a risk adjustment, sometimes a major risk adjustment, and now is the perfect time to get that done. So that's an adjustment for comfort level. But what about an adjustment for need? What rate of return does your portfolio need over time to make your plan work? So the second adjustment that we normally make at this point in the process is the risk need adjustment. To determine what style portfolio will give the client the highest probability of a successful outcome, meaning not running out of money before running out of time on the planet. Isn't that everyone's goal? Remember, there's a fine balance between risk and return. More risk may mean more return, but it also means more volatility in your portfolio, which could actually lower your probability of success. Sometimes an insurance portfolio adjustment is required at this point. Based on the risk modeling we've done, you may need to update your insurance coverage. This could mean adjusting your life insurance, adding long-term care insurance, or reassessing how you're protecting yourself and your family from unforeseen expenses. Remember, insurance is just another financial asset. It's just another financial tool in your toolbox. And if you use that tool properly, it can add a lot of value to your plan. How about spending and budget adjustments? If the probability of success in your retirement plan isn't where you want it to be, remember, we want you to be in the 70 to 90% probability of success range. If you're not there, you may need to fine-tune your spending expectations. This could involve cutting back on discretionary expenses or delaying certain large purchases. Vacations and car purchases are two big ticket items, usually recurring budget items that might need adjustment in the amount budgeted and or the frequency. Let's say you take an international trip every 5 years instead of every 2 years, or you plan to purchase a new car every 7 years instead of every 4 years. Small adjustments to goals like this can make a big difference in your probability of success. How about savings rate adjustments for those people still in the pre-retirement phase? The plan may show that additional savings are needed to stay on track. In some cases, small increases in savings rates can significantly improve long-term outcomes. I'm working with a younger couple right now, and by increasing their retirement plan contributions by approximately 3% for each of them, we increased their probability of success by over 20 points. That's amazing, and it's good to be young. You have time on your side. How about timing adjustments? You might need to adjust the timing of major retirement decisions. That could mean delaying retirement by a year or two, waiting longer to claim Social Security, or adjusting the age at which you start drawing down assets. Sometimes we need to revisit the goals and determine whether they are realistic given our financial situation. This doesn't always mean giving up on dreams. It could mean structuring them differently or prioritizing certain goals over others. The answer, in most cases, is small adjustments to a number of items rather than a larger adjustment to one item. For example, instead of throwing away the goal of that one dream trip to Europe, wouldn't it be better to make a handful of smaller adjustments to your budget over time? The combination of these small adjustments can add up to the possibility of making that dream trip a reality. But only with accurate, up-to-date modeling can you run the required calculations. The key takeaway here is that financial planning isn't just about running numbers. It's about making sure those numbers support a realistic, achievable retirement strategy. These immediate adjustments set the foundation for a plan that truly works. Remember, your financial plan is a living document. So even after making these initial adjustments, your plan isn't something you want to set once and forget about it. Life is unpredictable. Markets fluctuate. Tax laws change. Health situations evolve. And even our own priorities may shift. So think of your plan like a home. When you build a house, you make sure the foundation is solid. But over the years, you'll still need to make repairs, update appliances, and maybe even renovate to fit your changing needs. Your financial plan works the same way. Every adjustment requires a major overhaul. Some adjustments are minor course corrections that help keep you on track. Others may require a more significant change in strategy. Remember earlier on we made a major course correction, turning you from headed east to headed north? Now we want to make sure that we make recurring small course corrections to keep you headed in that right direction. For example, if market conditions shift, you may need to rebalance your portfolio rather than completely change your investments. If you're spending slightly more than expected, a small budget tweak may be enough to realign things. On the other hand, if a major life event occurs, like a serious health issue, or the loss of a spouse, or a major economic downturn, you may need to make more substantial adjustments to your plan. The key is to be proactive, not reactive. Regular check-ins ensure that you're making thoughtful, strategic adjustments rather than panicking when something unexpected happens. So how often should you review your plan? A good rule of thumb is to review your financial plan at least once a year. This annual checkup allows you to reassess your investments, spending, tax strategy, and overall progress towards your goals. However, you should also review your plan whenever a major life change happens, whether it's a career change, a health issue, or a big financial shift. So some final thoughts. Adaptability leads to long-term success. The most successful retirees aren't the ones who never face challenges. They're the ones who stay adaptable. Financial planning isn't about predicting the future with certainty. It's about preparing for different scenarios and making smart adjustments along the way. So this wraps up the 10 steps of a smarter way to retire. But remember, planning for retirement doesn't end here. It's an ongoing process. If you've followed these steps along with us over the past 10 weeks or so, you're likely already on the right path. Keep making small adjustments, stay flexible, and enjoy the retirement you've worked so hard to build. If you haven't yet started your planning, or if you feel that you need some help in your planning, feel free to reach out to me at leonardifamilywealthcare.com. I'm here to help. Thanks for joining me on this journey. If you haven't yet, grab a copy of my book, A Smarter Way to Retire, for a deeper dive into these steps. And as always, feel free to reach out if you need help applying these concepts to your own retirement plan. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and tell your family and friends. Until next time, stay smart, stay prepared, and enjoy the retirement you deserve.
Securities and investment advisory services offered through Osaic Wealth, Inc., member FINRA SIPC. Osaic Wealth is separately owned, and other entities and/or marketing names, products, or services referenced here are independent of Osaic Wealth. The opinions expressed herein are for general information only and is not necessarily the opinions of Osaic Wealth or its representatives. Investing is subject to risk, including loss of principal invested. Past performance is not a guarantee of future results. No strategy can assure a profit nor protect against loss. It is not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. Please consult your financial professional, attorney, or tax advisor with regard to your individual situation.